and y'all chime in if we need something different, but there were really only, I think, 2 council members that were on the council at the time that the ordinance was originally passed for the stormwater, utility ordinance. And so I felt like mostly important that we all kind of get up to speed on exactly what was done, where it exists, what the recommendations of the task force were. I see we have several members of the task force here tonight. I appreciate y'all being in attendance. And, ultimately, if this thing's going to move forward, we have to get to the point of actually setting a fee structure. And along with that, I have spoken to Mr. Horton and Mr. Marr about making sure that we do something that we're able to utilize those funds effectively and efficiently to start making an impact within the community, and so determine we might have a pie in the sky large number of all the capital improvement projects and things, but there's another layer that I want to make sure the public understands to the stormwater plan, and this utility is basically just to partially fund the stormwater management plan that pre-exists from originally 2008, I guess. And there's a component to that as the city grows and census, we're going to reach some key points where all of a sudden we fall under some environmental controls and protections that don't currently apply to us at our current population. And those things will be more monitoring of runoff water for chemicals and salinity and how those things affect the salt marshes and all of those kinds of things that it's going to get more complex. Right now, we talk stormwater. I think most people think about the water in the ditches, but this eventually is going to carry us out into a more complex area, and this will be partly the funding source that provides for that staffing to do that testing and those kinds of things. This is truly something that affects all properties, not just whether or not your property happens to flood or not right now. Your property does have water that's on it, water that's draining off of it, that eventually ends up into our rivers and streams, and will eventually be part of that issue that we're having to address. So just laying that basic groundwork,
Can I make a suggestion? Yes. I've been encouraged by a couple people online that y'all need to bring your mic close to your mouth and speak into the clerk. And it's for Chad and for the mayor and a couple others, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, once again. I feel a little nervous and not qualified to be standing here when I've got Mr. Sellers and Mr. Riley sitting behind me, who was a part of this process from the very beginning. And I want to commend them on their perseverance and their patience and all the hard work that they put into this over the years. So, in an email that I sent out on the 27th, I sent council the stormwater utility user fee credit manual just for your homework and absorption. I'm sure that was actually done, along with a whole bunch of things, including the frequently asked questions, the actual ordinance itself that was passed, and some just general other thing. To take it from where the mayor left off, this is not just about cleaning ditches. It's also our watershed plan. It's also the effects that our stormwater creates in our downtown and in other areas of our city. Just for example, I wish Ms. Shirley was here. She was talking about how we were flooding down here the other week. And so I came in this morning, and yes, we had moved the water and everything's clear. But when you got down to the corner and you made the corner right where the storm drain was, all the leaves that had been falling had washed up there. There was a pile that high and that wide around that storm water. That's the kind of effects we're talking about. I mean, in some municipalities, they've included the street sweeper as a part of the stormwater utility because of those very reasons like that. We're fortunate, Miss Geraldine Reedy, did I say it right?
Yes, you did, sir.
She is our senior planner, and she comes to us from Sonoa, Georgia, where
Sonoy.
Sonoy, whatever. She doesn't say it right
Get her name
either.
right, get her location right there.
Well, she's North of Darien, so she don't talk like us anyway. Sorry about that. But one of her jobs at her former employment was to handle the stormwater management plan. So she's well versed in this, and she has been kicking me in the seat of the pants for the last week and a half. It's been an adventure. I'm going, what did you say? And she says, I'll say it slower. So, but what I wanted to do for the benefit of the council, because as the mayor said, there's really just two of you that are sitting up there that haven't really been exposed to it. And in no shape or form am I as schooled as the individual that presented this originally. This is the PowerPoint that was presented, and I'm trying to, that stack of handouts I gave you earlier is, I've got them in some sort of an order with intent, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get started. But I wanted to run you through real briefly, and it's gonna be brief, folks. It's not gonna be the lengthy one that was originally. The stormwater utility process went through several things. It was identified in the master plan. They also identified citizen survey with an open house. There was a white paper created and presented to council at the time. There was a public education component. The stormwater ordinance credit manual was also presented and was set to be adopted in '21. Final billing, that's the whole process as it was originally laid out. The task force was created in April of 2019. May through July, they developed a mission, vision statement, goals, and objectives. And in June of 19, had public hearings, public comments, presented recommendations and results from community survey. In 19 was the white paper to council. And in September of 19, STF develops public education program. That's the stormwater utility group. And they spent some serious time on that. In December of 19 was the goal to get it passed. Council workshops, public education, videos were put together, more public comments, and in September of 21, they presented their recommendations. Some of the recommendations, their vision statement, I'm not going to read it to you because you have it. Some of the goals that they set were to maintain the existing drainage infrastructure to maximize the use and lifespan, educate the public about stormwater issues. Again, that's going back to my original comments that everybody thinks it's just concerning ditches, and it's not. It's bigger than that. It's a lot bigger than that. And then invest in the city drainage infrastructure through implementation of capital drainage improvements, or a CIP. November. The white paper, again, we've discussed that. Operations and maintenance of the drainage systems. There's more than that now, but at the time it was 19 miles of storm sewer pipe and 71 miles of ditches with associated structural controls, including catch basins, inlets, culverts, and outfalls. Recently added dedicated drainage crew, and at the time they were recommending one more drainage crew was still needed. We have implemented that second crew with your actions recently over the last 6 months. Updated stormwater master plan, capital improvement plan, continued with 30% contingency from the 2008 estimate. I have also included in your packet, there is a spreadsheet that came out of the utility master plan where it was actually tweaked again. Some of those numbers and some of the mapping, you'll see some of that in your packet. Updated total CIP at the time was 7.35 million with 52 projects. This is a map. This is the map that I was referring to that you have in your packet. It's one of the folded over big pages. Yes, ma'am, it's hard to read though. I'll be happy to, it's also on our website, so. Charlie, can you adjust that up for me, please? Some of the flooding issues, even though I said it wasn't all about the ditches, it's also about how we're affected by the sea, our king tides, our high tides. And I'm going to go ahead and say it because we are rapidly approaching the season, as in a couple of days, and we've already had our first tropical depression form. It's on the Pacific side, so we'll keep them all over there this year, we're hoping, praying. We're not going to be able to address hurricane flooding, okay? The wall of water, for those of you that are new to the area, just to give you some insight, when you go down and look in front of the of Seagulls, they're the last palm tree by the cannon. If you look up at the top where the front, whatever you call them, pom-poms or whatever, where it starts going on, there used to be a ribbon up there. That ribbon signified what the water level would be at a Category 3. I've ridden out a lot of storms here over the last 25 years. Category 3, you're going to have to find me. I'm just going to say it that way. Okay. King tide, we have seen the effects, and it has affected us, and that is something we can address and actually working towards. The community rating system, okay, that is the National Flood Insurance Program. It's a voluntary program that the cities offer. There's certain things that we do and we go through and some public information, and there should be a flyer coming out very soon in regards to that, which is a component that we get extra points. Currently, the City of St. Mary's holds a rating, a CRS rating of 7, which is 7 out of 10, which gives us a 10 to 15% discount for our citizens on flood insurance. Okay?
Sorry to interrupt, but so this was a couple years ago, correct? Are we still
This
the
is
same,
correct.
or are we different now as far as that?
No, we're still at 7.
Okay.
We're still at 7. Yeah, this was actually put together in 21, September of 21. Okay. Just a little sidebar, the CRS system is a part of the ISO system. I know those that have been around the fire service for a long period of time you pay homeowners insurance, fire insurance based off your ISO rating. These are the same folks. It's just a different branch. They're all CRS. Stormwater Extended Services, who's responsible for the drainage system? This is important, folks. It's hard to read here, but it is in your handout. It identifies the private parts. It identifies the public parts, i.e. public meaning us. Okay? And I apologize, I'm going to do a van on you. When you see in my wife's eyes, that would be a light pink or a fuchsia. That's not fuchsia, but anyway, you get the peach. Yeah. Salmon, that's a good term. Those are the private areas. Those are the areas that belong to the private property owner, and that it's their responsibility. You'll notice the driveway covers is private, okay? The blue part are the responsibilities of the city, okay? Am I reading that right? Yes, okay? So that's things to remember. So there's stock in this on both sides. That's a good way to say it, okay? So moving ahead, there we go again. So in 21, a new dedicated drainage crew was estimated at $190,000. Purchase contract services was estimated at $50,000. Road paving and drainage supplies, $25,000. CIP projects, this was the initial budget. CIP projects was $300,000, was what they had figured in, and the amortization cost of $25,000. Okay, that was in 21. We'll get to the other stuff because I know what's going to be asked in just a minute. So, quick overview, the functions as a user fee-based system similar to other public utilities, water, sewer, sanitation, etc. 100% of the revenues to the dedicated stormwater program. Assigns cost to all parcels based on impervious services. Thank you. Why stormwater utility fee and user fee? It addresses the problem. That's the short version of it. Every developed property, notice I said developed property, has a stake in the game because they're affecting it. You're putting something on the ground that's not allowing the water to get through where it would normally come through. Fees according to demand and service received. Stable, consistent annual revenue stream that's coming in. It eliminate the need for future millage increases for additional stormwater services. Revenues can pay for bond and GFA loan debt service as well as city match for grants. So think about that for just a minute, okay? Because we're going to get into the revenue stream here in a minute, and you're going to look at it and go, well, how are we going to still pay all those large CIP projects, okay? The Georgia Stormwater Utilities, this is not something new. This is not something that has just been created. It was originally created in 1998 in Griffin, Georgia, and currently in 21, there were 70 stormwater utilities in 21. What about South Georgia? Well, Hinesville does it, Garden City does it, Valdosta, Statesboro, Richmond, and Brunswick. Typical residential customers rate in Georgia is approximately $5 per month statewide. That's residential. Again, that's residential.
Is that still the case?
It's still the case.
Robbie,
Yes.
am I right? Because I think we talked about this before. Dave, you could probably give a little bit more insight. But churches and people that doesn't pay taxes, they'll have to pay.
No, sir, that's actually incorrect.
It's not, it is.
Everyone, including the city of St. Mary's, will have to pay into that.
Yeah, that's what I
into
said,
that
they'll
fund.
have to pay.
Yeah, they'll have to pay. Like
Everybody, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
said wouldn't have to.
No, they will have
Hold
to
on.
pay.
And that's because it's a
I got
fee
you
and not a
turned up.
tax, is that correct?
Say again?
Yeah.
Because it's a fee and not a
Like a
tax.
garbage.
It's a fee.
It's
and not
it's a fee,
Yes.
not a tax.
Yes, it is a fee, it is not a tax. That is correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
Our attorney sent some information out, I don't know if y'all read it or not, but, I talked with some of the folks from, the city of Port Wentworth in the last 2 or 3 days, and, because there were lawsuits, and they said that, they had one lawsuit against them, the city of Port Wentworth, and they said that that was a family that sued them for everything. They had about 6 or 7 lawsuits, so everybody else think that it's a pretty good thing for a good cause.
The way that this program was put into place and constructed reduces our liability for issues of that nature. So that's something also kind of be mindful of as well. So, thank you, Mr. Jones. So everything is built off of equivalent residential unit, or ERUs. One ERU is considered 3,700 square feet of impervious surfaces, okay? So what they did, well, I better shut up. I'll get into my stuff here in a minute. The single family is one flat ERU, so $5 a month is what was proposed as a part of this fee structure. Multifamily, which is the apartment buildings, not the duplexes, but apartment buildings, okay? Just want to clarify that. Commercial properties, industrial, schools, churches, and government. They have figured off actually going in and looking with GIS and determining what kind of impervious surfaces are on that piece of property. You figure out the square footage or the acres, if you will. I used acres. I had to figure it out for myself too. But you figure out the square footage, and then you apply the 3,700 square feet into the square feet of what they've got, and that tells you how many ERUs are on each property. So this goes more in detail about how it's calculated. Your driveways are calculated, your sidewalks are calculated, your actual structure is calculated on the lot. So if you've got a building, i.e., let's go downtown for just a minute. Pardon me. And you've got a lot that you've got a building, because commercial properties in our historic district go from lot line to lot line. A lot of cities do that. So that whole property is absorbed with impervious surfaces, so you're paying on the square footage that the building is sitting on. Everybody kind of tracking with me there? So, say again?
And parking lots.
And parking lots and everything else, yes. So, some more calculations on it, ERUs, and what is the ERUS? I can't remember. I'm blank.
Non-single-family residence. and
Thank you.
Single-family residence.
Righty. So then we talked about budget again, and we're going to look at some fresher numbers here in just a minute. Break down on some of the revenue, and we'll look at some more of that in just a minute. Some more of the model. This is an example of the stormwater utility rates in Georgia. Statesboro figures at $3.95, Brunswick at $3.95. That's per ERU. Griffin at $4.65, Richmond at $4.75, Garden City at $4.75, $5, and $5.86 in Hinesville. Charlie, can you slide that up a little bit more, please? And then Augusta at $6.40. Okay, and you also notice that the ERU square footages are varied. How did they come up with 3,700 square feet? They took an average of the residential homes in the city and kind of where it fell, and it was around that, are not residential. Y'all gonna throw something at me yet?
A little bit more went into it, but that was pretty much.
I'm getting there. I'm getting better of how much impervious surfaces are on an average on all the residential lots, and that's where they came up with 3,700 square feet. This is kind of how the bills would look for one month. There is the ability to have discounts on the commercial side. If you have I'm using this as an example, if you have a retention pond on your property, then you have the ability to reduce how much you have to pay. And that there is a process for that. And that's in the ordinance that you can go back and you can look at. And we're not talking about the ordinance, we're talking about the rate. There's other things that you can do, which are also in the ordinance to help reduce what you end up paying. And if you remember, I'm going to back up just a minute. And if you'll also remember, we're in the process with a growth boom, okay? And we're already working with new construction at commercial, that they provide some means of retention, some means of handling their stormwater. So they're going to see some of the benefits from it, okay? Just keep that in your mind.
Robbie, let me, before I think, because I don't think we come back to it again here, I want to address a little bit more about the ERU, just so there's some clarity. So my understanding of the process, there was a random sampling of residential properties, and 3,700 was the average impervious surface, per residential lot. And so that there will be a flat fee for all residential, single-family residences, regardless of the actual impervious surface on that property. I mean, you might have a house somewhere that has a 1,600 square foot, house roof with dirt driveway, so no impervious surface there. But that single-family residence would still be taxed at one full, not taxed, would be charged as a fee, one ERU, or the 3,700 foot, standard of a single-family residence. So every single-family residence, regardless kind of their square footage of impervious surface, would be charged at that one ERU rate, that flat rate. And then when you get into non-single-family, multifamily, commercial, those other types of properties, then the actual calculations would be done. And of course, part of that, I assume, is that the burden of having to calculate every additional property, and then every time any change is made to that property, additional accessory structures are built or any kind of thing, the city would constantly be having to monitor every residential property in town. And so I'm assuming as a result, and from what I understand, that this process has been legally upheld by the Georgia Supreme Court to be handled in that way. And so, but I know that there'll be folks out there saying that, well, my house is not that big and I don't have a paved driveway. But so I just wanted to clarify that was the situation, based on the average of single-family residences. So, is that clear? Anybody from task force add anything to that?
Well put.
Said a lot better than I did. A lot more better. So there's some other credits that are available, and it's all there in the ordinance. This tells you how it was calculated, goes into all that. This is what the utility ordinance covered. This is the highlights of it: establishment of the fund, stormwater utility service area, the scope of responsibility, customer classes, user fee charge, the billing rates, the user fee credits, the billing delinquencies, collections and adjustments, appeals, and hearings. There is the opportunity for appeals. Okay. So we've adopted the ordinance, but we never adopted the credit manual. But we still have the credit applications, the billing database completion and upload, adopt budget for 22 and set rate, customer notification, and first stormwater utility bill and cycle. I don't know the council's desire, but I wanted to make you aware of it. In the original contract with GMC, who was the designer, the advisors, we still have we haven't paid for it, but we still have a contract out there with money still left to help with the initiation of the program. Okay, but that's going to cost us some money, and I don't know exactly what those numbers are at this time. So just file that away. A lot of public education has occurred. There is information out there, and Ms. Courtney Wright was the lady that did that. And if you'll excuse me half a second.
She's not there anymore, you know that, right? Huh? She's not there anymore. No. A lot of things change. Yeah, I think you could do that.
and I guess I should have made the letters a little bit bigger. We have provided this for you also in your packet, Mayor and Council. These are some updated numbers. This is the anticipated revenue if we were to look at the one ERU equaling the $5 that we had discussed. We talk about the current residential, 7,594 residential units in the city right now, at annual cost of $60 a piece. 5 times 12 is 60. I had to be reminded of that math. So, total revenues from residential is anticipated at $455,640. We have in that packet that I gave you, there is a 11 or 8 by 14. It's a little bit bigger paper. They provided roughly 80 commercial properties. Some of the names have changed, but the properties are still there. It gives you an idea. We've used those numbers at a minimum, okay? And that's where you see the commercial monthly. That's the number.
The fee is monthly.
I'm sorry?
The fee that you're showing us is monthly.
On this, yes. But we calculated it out, well, that's monthly too, yeah. But then you see the annual revenue being around $262,410. Now you notice that number doesn't change. That was just to kind of get us a bare minimum of kind of understanding what we've got coming in, okay? So in the first year, if we were to implement this year, with the one ERU at $5, you're looking at $718,050.50 at a bare minimum. Okay. Granted, there's more commercial property out there that they will have to go through and calculate them out and come up with the ERUs for those and go. So that's what the revenue picture or estimation, if you will, kind of looks like. The expense side, salary and wages and benefits, and we've also provided council with a budget that you're more accustomed to, especially after tonight, because you looked at the same ones tonight when you looked at the budgets. But we roughly estimate that the initial year being being $1,192,734. Now, that is also taking a lot of the stuff that we've approved as a part of the existing budget, not approved, I'm sorry, that we want to approve at our next meeting. The ditch crew, the auger, the other stuff like that. And we've moved it over there from that, okay?
So this number is an allocation of already existing.
It's in the proposed budget, yes, ma'am. There's nothing added to it that, matter of fact, you can see where we took stuff out of it, but anyway, you kind of get the idea. So again, that's pulling from the proposed 26 budget to create the budget for the stormwater utility. Okay? Questions?
So I guess one of the things I wanted to point out, there was a slide, I don't think we spent much time on it, that talked about revenue sources